where to stay in Rome. Now, when you go to Rome, it's pretty easy to figure out what to do. There's lots of videos on that, and the sites are so iconic. Everybody knows to go to the Vatican, they know to go to the Colosseum, Trevi Fountain, and whatnot. This video is about where to stay, and that's a little bit more tricky because Rome is a very big city. Most cities, you can go to the city center, the historic area, and be pretty safe. I mean, Florence is not that big. It's pretty easy. You stay in the historic area of Florence, you're going to be walking distance to everything. And the same thing is true of many of Italy's cities. But Rome is a very big city, and to walk across the historic area of Rome takes probably more than an hour in each direction. So, I mean, you're heading back, and then if you've got an hour to go back, an hour to go forward. So you don't necessarily want to be on the outside, but there are other things to consider. Now, I recently did a video about the Campo dei Fiori area and Largo Argentina, which are kind of the same area, and how much I like that. I did one on Trastevere as well, which is one of my favorite areas. And people made comments about Monti, which I wasn't super familiar with. Yes, I'd been there, but I had never spent the night there. So recently, my wife and I, we stayed in the Monti for a period of time, and that's what this video is about. It's about Monti, and is it a good place for you to base your vacation from in Rome? And let's get started. Now, what do I consider a great neighborhood to stay in? When I go to Rome, and I think this is probably true of most people, they're going to spend most of their time in the neighborhood that they're living in. So that means you're going to wake up there every morning, and every night you're going to come home there, at least every night. You're going to come home there to sleep. So you want to be in an area that you enjoy, an area that has really nice restaurants, an area that has, you know, nice, you know, to walk the streets and to get gelato and just, you know, coffee shops and whatnot. So you want an area that you feel comfortable in, an area that's safe. And that's what Monti really offers. It's a great area to be at. I feel completely safe in that neighborhood. Now the streets, as you come down in here, we're gonna walk a couple of them, but they're very interesting and they're so fun to walk in, and there's just so much to see in there. Lots of great restaurants, just everything that I described that you're looking for in a home base. Okay, so before we really get going here, I want to give you a quick overview of Rome and its historical area. This building here, this is the train station. You see the tracks coming here, and just south is the Colosseum, right down here. And this area that we're talking about, Monti, is right down here. This area just north of the Colosseum. And just to the south, you have Circus Maximus, and then you have the Roman Forum that's all in this area here. Over here, you've got Piazza Venezia with the Victor Emmanuel Monument. Down here's Campo dei Fiori. Across the river, this is the Trastevere area. Up over here is the Vatican. Then you've got the castle. You've got Piazza Navona right here. You've got the Pantheon, Trevi Fountain, and just up here you have Spanish Steps, along with Villa Borghese, which is right up in here. This center here that I made is the Monti neighborhood, and all these little flags are of the major sites around Rome. And as you can see, most of the sites are to the west. They're to the northwest or the southwest of the Monti neighborhood. But what more than makes up for the fact that most things are to the west is the fact that there are 2 metro stations in the Monti neighborhood. And so you don't always have to walk to these sites. Many of them are accessible by the metro, not all of them, but several of them are, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But that kind of gives you an idea. Now we're going to explore how to access all of the sites while staying in the Monti area. First of all, let's look at the metro. Okay, there are 2 metro stations, as we mentioned. There's the Cavour station, which is right up over here, right around this area, and then there's the Colosseum station just down here, right next to the Colosseum. And from there, you can hop on the metro and head straight down and exit right here. This is the Circus Maximus. So Circus Maximus, if you're not familiar, that is where they used to do the chariot races. And today, not much exists there. It's just an open field. There are some ruins down at this end of the Circus Maximus near the metro station to take a look at, but it's such a cool place to kind of look and walk and just check out. So there is one thing that on this end of the Circus Maximus, as you walk down here, I suggest you take a look at while you're down here in this area. And that is right here, there's a church. You see this tower right here? Okay, in this church, or actually right outside the church, in the kind of awning here, or the overpass, or whatever they want to call it, right in these little arches here, is the they call it the Boca di Verita, and it's a big statue, probably 7-8 feet across. It's a statue. It's a kind of like a plate, and there's a face on there. And in the day, you would stick your hand in the mouth, and if they deemed that you were lying to them, I'm not sure who them is, government or whoever it is, whoever's in charge, they would cut your hands off. And today, it's still there, but of course you're not getting your hand chopped off, but you can certainly take a picture of that, and that's pretty cool. So while you're visiting Circus Maximus, it's very easy just to come down here and take a look at La Boca di Verita. Okay, we're back here at the Monti area. Also, you can hop on the metro station, just head down a little bit further, and you've got the Circus Maximus we just stopped at there, but down here, there's actually a pyramid right here. This is the Roman pyramid. You may not have known there was a pyramid in Rome. Anyway, it's really pretty cool. Let's find out when that was built. Hey Meta, when was the pyramid in Rome built? Okay, so Meta just told me that this pyramid was built in 12 BC. I didn't even realize that. I've been in Rome several times, and I always thought this was kind of a newer addition to Rome. So now we're back in the Monti neighborhood, and it's easy to hop on the metro and head up here to the station, because you're going to be on Metro Line B, and you want to switch to the A line. So the lines cross here at the station, and from here, you want to take the metro to the Spanish Steps. Spanish Steps are right down here. Let's drop down and take a look at that. I ran up the stairs really fast. It was not a blast. I'm out of gas. That's the best I got. Right next to the Spanish Steps is the metro station right here. You just come around this little alley and walk down this thing here into the metro, or there's also some stairs that come down here. So beyond that, you can also take the metro another stop further. This here is Piazza del Popolo, and the metro station is right over here called Flamino. So what you do is you take the metro station to Flamino, walk back to Piazza del Popolo here. Super neat piazza. And let's take a look at that. So while you're here at the piazza, one thing I do suggest you do is just to over here is this big park area. This is Villa Borghese. Now going into Villa Borghese is really interesting. It's quite a huge park. I mean, it probably takes you a half hour to walk across it. Right here, there's a little, I don't know if you want to call it a square or whatever, but it's an elevated viewpoint right here that's super neat. You get a real good view of the Vatican. Another thing worth noting is every time I've been there, there's always been a street performer that, you know, is doing something right there. So that's kind of cool. Back to the Monti neighborhood. Let's say you want to go to the Vatican. What you do is you hop on the metro. Again, you have to switch lines at line A, and then you take the metro to the Vatican, which is right out over here. Here's the Vatican right here. The metro drops you off about maybe 400 yards, 400 meters or so from right up over here. It drops you out on this street here, and then you just walk down. Let's go backwards here. The metro's right here, Ottaviano Metro. And then we just walk down this street back to the St. Peter's right here. And let's take a look at St. Peter's. Those are some of the major sites that you can see from the metro. But now let's look more in depth at what's right in Monti to take a look at. Okay, so we're back in Monti, and just down from the Colosseum, this is the Colosseum here, there is a church. It's probably less than a 300-400 meter walk that is located right here in this church right there. And what's neat about that is inside the church, there is a statue that was done by Michelangelo. It's Michelangelo's Moses. It's not his most important piece or his most famous piece. I mean, that would be in Florence, and the David in Florence. And then in the Vatican, they have La Pietà, which both of those statues are quite a bit more inspiring than this one. But this was completed by Michelangelo. and you can get up and close to it. It's in that church. It's not behind a big wall like the one in the Vatican, and you don't have to pay money to go see it like the one in Florence, like the David in Florence. So when you're in this area, definitely check out Moses that was done by Michelangelo. Another really interesting thing to see that's really in the Monti neighborhood, it's just on the edge of it, is the Church of Santa Maria Maggiore. And it's right over here. Let's zoom in there and take a quick look at that. Another really great advantage of staying in the Monti area is you are near one of the most iconic walks in all of Rome, and that is the walk from the Roman Colosseum down to Piazza Venezia, where the Victor Emmanuel monument is. This is a walk right along the Roman Forum, and in here they limit the traffic to just buses and taxis, so traffic's not a big issue, and there are literally hundreds of people walking up and down here. You get a view of the Roman Forum on both sides, a lot of things to check out. There are dozens of street performers, super fun walk, and what's coming in 2025, early 2025, is a new metro line, Line C, that will run from the metro station up to Piazza Venezia right here. Now that may not seem like a big distance, but it's maybe just over a kilometer, so maybe a half a mile or a little bit more. But what's nice is now you can take that nice walk up, and then when you're down here, you can hop on the metro and just head right back to the Monti area. Or you can take the metro right up to the top and then make your way back to the Monti area, which makes it super convenient. Okay, but while you're down here, this is Piazza Venezia. This is called the Victor Emmanuel monument. So while you're down here, now the rest of the stuff we're gonna go on foot from here, but what's nice is as we venture out, we're gonna eventually come to a metro station that we can then take back to Monti, not have to walk all the way back, even though some of the things we're going to go to may be 30, 40 minutes away after you've stopped at 4 or 5 different sites. Getting on the metro at the end of the day or at the end of the afternoon or at the end of the morning makes it super convenient to just head back to the Monti neighborhood, making Monti very accessible from many parts of Rome. So here is the Victor Emmanuel monument. So what's really neat, there's another piazza right behind this. It was designed by Michelangelo. It's the Compidoglio, and you can access it 2 different ways. You can access it from this side over here. You just walk through this thing, you'll see some stairs heading up to the piazza. Or if you want to walk around this big monument, and it is big, trust me, you can come up over here, and there's a big stairway right here. And this stairway, this is the piazza that I'm talking about, the Compidoglio, that was designed by Michelangelo. Back here, this is what's kind of interesting, and not many people know this, but just back here, you walk through this little alleyway right here, there's a perch right here that gives great views of the Roman Forum. Okay, as you leave the Campidoglio, you can come back down these stairs here, and there's actually a very interesting church right here. A lot of stairs heading up to it. There's been some real famous weddings there and whatnot, but anyway, super cool place there if you want to take a look at that. Otherwise, you just go down this street here, and we're going to head to a thing called Theater Marcello, which is kind of looks like Colosseum from a distance, kind of the same design, but it is an old theater. It used to hold 15 to 20,000 people. Let me find out when it was built. Hey Meta, when was the Theater Marcello built? Okay, it was formally inaugurated by Augustus in 12 BC, so that kind of gives you an idea. That's according to Meta, hopefully that's right. And anyway, you come in there, you can walk right down this walkway, and you're gonna walk through some really cool ruins, and you're gonna come out right on this side into the Jewish ghetto. And what is the Jewish ghetto? Well, I'm not gonna get into it here, but basically it's a really cool place to go hang out, have a great meal. There's lots of coffee shops, restaurants. There's an old Jewish bakery that's been selling pastries for 300 years. It's buzzing pretty much all the time except for Saturday, where that's the Sabbath, so some of the things are closed down on Saturdays. But every other day, it's great to go through the Jewish ghetto. So I highly recommend you do that. And be sure to visit the bakery, because there's nothing like the bakery anywhere in the world. They make a thing called the Jewish pizza. That is really awesome. One of my favorite treats in all of Rome. Love it. As you continue down that street, again, we're not talking very far. Once you're at the Jewish ghetto, it's just another maybe 200 meters, which is basically 200 yards or so, maybe 300 yards. See this spot here? This is Campo dei Fiori. This was filled with flowers, and it's a open market. It's Rome's oldest open market. It's been running since the 1800s. They run it every day from early in the morning till around 4 to 5 in the evening, and you can come down there and grab fruits and vegetables. There's souvenirs, there's oils, there's all kinds of stuff. It's turned more into a touristy market now, including shirts and all kinds of, touristy more memorabilia to take back. But it is really cool to see. There are some neat things in there, and there's some nice restaurants that surround the area, and so it shouldn't be a miss when you're in Rome. So easy to get to as you come through here too, so it's great. From Campo dei Fiori, there's also you just spin around here, there's a really cool piazza right here. It's called the Largo Argentina. This is where Julius Caesar was murdered back, I think it was 44 BC. Let's see if I'm right. Depending on which way you went from, there's two sites here. You might recognize them at the top of the screen here. You've got Piazza Navona, which is one of Rome's most beautiful piazzas. It's absolutely, beautiful. Let's take a look at that. So while you're out here in the Piazza Navona area, there's a street that runs right up over here. See this area here? This is a really cool street, and I suggest there's a place called Two Sizes to get great tiramisu. Just up the road, there's another place called Frigidorium, which is a gelato shop, and there's all kinds of nice little shops here. Grab a bite to eat, grab lunch, grab dinner, grab a snack, whatever. On this road here is where you do that. It's just really close to the Piazza Navona area. Anyway, about 200 yards away is also this funny building with a hole. That's the Pantheon. And this is one of my favorite buildings in all of Rome. It's just beautiful. And let's go down and take a look at that. One thing I recommend while you're here visiting the Pantheon, right over here, just on this side, there is a sandwich shop, and they make these really nice sandwiches. They're actually quite large, and really can feed two people. I mean, unless you're a really big eater, I would just split it with somebody. But they're you're gonna have to spend a little bit of time in line. But the sandwiches are awesome. And then what you do is you take the sandwich, you just walk around the building, and you come out here, and you eat it on the steps. And trust me, when you go there to this area, you're gonna have dozens of other people eating sandwiches on these steps as they enjoy the view of the Pantheon. It's a great thing to do. So I highly recommend you do that. So as we leave the Pantheon, the next closest major site that we're gonna walk to is the Trevi Fountain, which is right down here. And it's probably less than a 10-minute walk from the Pantheon to the Trevi Fountain. Let's go take a look. So there's a tradition that if you throw a coin over your shoulder, you get to come back to Rome. And Kim did it again. So on this walk, the next stop we're going to take is back to the Spanish Steps that we were at earlier on the metro. And it's just, right up this way. It's probably a 10-minute walk from there. But what's great about that, again, is that's where the metro is located. At the end of the walk, you now went and saw, a half a dozen or more different iconic sites in Rome. Now you can hop back on the metro and head right back to Monti, where we started. And if you don't want to do that, you can climb up over the steps. And this is kind of a cool thing to do. I'm just going to point it out. Is you can climb up to the top of the steps, and then you can take this road. And it's kind of like an elevated road, so you have different viewpoints along the way. And it will take you right along into the Villa Borghese lookout, which is right up over here, which I pointed out here. And then you can, from there, you can hop on the metro back over here to head back to the Monti neighborhood. So the metro makes the Monti neighborhood accessible when it otherwise would not be all that accessible, especially for walking. And while some of these things are kind of a long walk in themselves, go all the way out to, let's say, Piazza del Popolo from the Monti neighborhood, it's going to take you like 45-minute walk out there. But if that was the only thing there was, it would probably be not that great. But since there are so many things to take a look at along the way, you go from one thing to the next thing, and there's nothing that's not much more than 300 more meters to the next site. Well, that kind of gives you a really good idea of the Monti neighborhood and how to access most of the sites. I didn't include things on this tour such as Via Appia Antica or the Roman aqueducts, which I strongly recommend you see both, especially if you're going to be in Rome for more than 2 or 3 days. Okay, in conclusion, is Monti a place that is good to base your trip out of in Rome? And I think the answer to that is a resounding yes. We really loved the area. We thought it was very safe even late at night. Having the Colosseum in the backdrop was very nice. Having the Imperial Forum right near us was fun. The greatest advantage of it all was having 2 metro stations right there in the Monti neighborhood that you can go out and visit other parts of the city. And more importantly, at the end of the day or afternoon or whenever, you're usually not too far from a metro station, depending on where you're at. You can hop on the metro and head right back to the Monti neighborhood, which made it very convenient. I would say this though, Monti, we were there in the off season and it was very, very nice. I'm a little worried that Monti might be very impacted with tourists during the peak season. And if you've been to Rome and Monti in the peak season and you make a comment, I'd love to hear what you think. That would be my only concern. I did think that the food prices at restaurants and some of the other food that you get there in Monti was a little bit more expensive than like the Trastevere area or the Campo de Fiori area, and the quality was not quite as good. That may be because I just don't know the restaurants as well, so I need to spend more time there and try different restaurants and stuff and find that stuff out for myself. But that is kind of my observation. I think with the new metro coming in 2025, it's just going to enhance the Monti neighborhood and make it that much more accessible to the whole city. It was a really fun time. I still preferred the other areas that I've talked about in my video just because I'm familiar with them. I know where to eat. I know all the stuff around there. That's the Largo Argentina, actually, and the Campo de Fiori, Trastevere area. That whole zone there I'm very familiar with, but Monti was awesome, and I definitely do it again. One thing you might consider, if you've got multiple days in Rome, you might want to stay 2 or 3 nights in the Monti neighborhood, and then move over to the Trastevere, move over to the Campo de Fiori area, and just it's going to be a very different experience, trust me. It's almost like being in 2 different cities when you do that. And if you're going to be there for multiple days, that's what I would do. I wouldn't just stay in one place. Staying in one place can be good because you can kind of really get to know the area, but you're there to experience Rome, so don't be afraid to try 2 different places. And that's what I have for you today. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you're still sticking around here to the end, again, I appreciate it. Hopefully that meant that you enjoyed it. So give me a thumbs up. It helps me. And if you like content about Rome, just all kinds of stuff about Rome, including tips, including what we're doing and stuff like that, please subscribe if that interests you. And to the next video, alla prossima, ciao.